She lost so much weight.
Yeah.
You think she has an eating disorder?
I was trying to major again.
Sweetheart, feminism isn't exactly what I call a career.
It's not my
you know?
career, it's a lens.
Did this sort of claustrophobic family event feel familiar to you? Is that something that you've been through at any point in your life?
I definitely related to it. I have a very big family on both sides, and they're very loving, but they're also really critical. And I really related to like the food stuff. I would say that I feel like you're either too skinny or you're not skinny enough. And it's like back and forth. It's like you're eating too much, you're eating too little. And so I really related to that, like being at a family gathering and having everybody's eyes on you and like how much you're eating.
It was really the first 4 years after my departure from living in my community where I grew up in Burlingame. I remember friends' parents pulling me aside and saying, you were a very smart girl and you're making a foolish decision to not go to college and pursue this impossible dream. And then year by year, you would go back for Thanksgiving or different other events, and there was either a confirmation or a denial. It was like, oh, like very cool first episode on like whatever, but like, are you doing anything else? Or, you know, or like, oh, now you're a vegetarian, like cool. And you're just like, I'm just coming home and I want to be like talking about simpler things, you know? But it was very comical. It's like, you know, it is your wider community, especially I think people who have watched you grow up feel very much that they belong to that kind of group thinking where they can help shape you or terrify you, depending on what the conversation is lending itself to. So, yeah, but my family specifically, just like a lot of like cheek pinching and like food pushing, very Jewish manner.
Yes, I felt very seen by this piece in many different ways. And it reminded me of every single Jewish gathering I've ever been to. And the bar mitzvah circuit, you know. But no, it just, I think also, I second Dianna when I dropped out of college, just being at gatherings and having them be like, what do you do all day? And if this acting thing doesn't work out, what are you going to do with your life? And cheek pinching and, you know, will you eat this? And you're not eating enough, you're eating too little.
I think it's interesting how much food is associated with all of these memories, like shoving it in your face or that's so I mean, it plays a huge role in this too. I mean, it feels very true.
And it's really every community. You know, it's not specific to Judaism. Like people want people to eat their food, you know. It's like the greatest joy that you can share is great food and a great meal, but also like sometimes you might have had food right before you came there and you don't want to eat it all.
I think kind of speaking to this idea of claustrophobia, what I've learned about filming was that it was like a very sweaty, couple of weeks 2 years ago in this house that you guys filmed in. What do you remember about that experience? Was it traumatizing in its own way because we're all crammed in this building?
I was just going to say it felt very realistic. It was easy to act like there was, like it was sweaty and hot because it was.
It was impossibly hot. I mean, it was August in New York. But I do think, as Rachel just said, it really lent itself to setting the most realistic scene. And, you know, like that environment was so hopeful as an actor, and those close quarters. And also too, there was something I found so beautiful about going on the train every day to work, like properly commuting to work was so fun and something that I haven't ever gotten to do as a New York City resident. So that was something that I loved as well.
And I think on filmmaking is so isolating usually, and you go to your trailer and you kind of wait to be brought up to set, and we all were there all the time getting to watch each other work. And so many conversations and moments came from the conversations we had in the holding room where we were sweating on each other to then go sweat and act together. But it was just, yeah, it's the best way to make a movie, I think, is sometimes is when you have no money.
Despite all the sweat, Polly Draper is like stunning always. I don't know, she blows me away. And just watching her in this movie, those glasses she's wearing, I was like, I want those glasses. She's incredible. What can you tell me about working with her and Fred, who I think are kind of maybe nightmare parents in some senses in this, but are like dream parents in real life?
And they knew each other. They went to school together, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they would like tell stories of school and so you can go. Sorry, you finished what you were saying.
no, I like this ping ponginess of ours.
I know. We're doing it's like real combo. Yeah. I just felt like they were just so funny together, and they would be like them talking in the scene and then talking out of the scene, like crossed right into each other, where they would be like talking about like whatever happened to like Sarah from college, and then they would be like, I heard, and then we go like right into the scene, and they were so funny and great.
And Emma's mom, I think, has those glasses and visited set, and then they went and got Polly those glasses. So all very specific decisions were made to make it very Jewish and perfect.
I mean, those two are incredible in everything. And it's actually reminded me something else I wanted to bring up. Molly, I read an interview you did with Vulture where you talked about wanting to be the next Richard Kind. And I was like, yeah, obviously, he's perfect. He's a dream. I mean, why Richard Kind? Why does he stand out to you as like the character actor?
I don't know. That really just like God just kind of came through my body and said what it needed to say. But I think he's just so fantastic and singular in everything that he does. And also, I think what's great about this movie is that there are so many wonderful roles. It's an amazing ensemble piece. And Richard Kind does a lot of, kind of comparing myself again to Richard Kind, does a lot of amazing ensemble pieces. And I think like a dream career is getting to just support other people while you still get to have a wonderful career and character as well. But it's not always about you being, the number one person. I think so many of the best roles in the best films are these group efforts. And I think he has had a career built on that.
Rachel, do you have is there a character actor that you hold in high esteem in the same sense?
I mean, there's so many. I would say like, I mean, Polly and Fred, I love them, and I felt like it was just an honor to like work with them, just like as my parents. I feel like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is like one of my favorite actresses, comedic actresses. I love Veep. Like, I think she's so good in that show. Like, I think that she's just like the perfect amount of like she's so real and like mean in the show. And I would say that's probably one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately went to Christopher Walken, who I love so much, but I wanted to have a female answer. I mean, there's so many. It's like, Meryl and Julianne and Tilda and so the Frances, like, I'm just going to make a song. That's all of them. There's so many people that I admire in our industry. And I think that filmmaking is more exciting than ever before, from my viewpoint. I think storytelling is really expanding into territories of, and characters that we haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. And that to me is super interesting and thrilling.
What does this movie have to say about the idea of the girl boss?
The girl boss is everywhere. Yeah, I actually improvised that line, and I feel like it's so funny because we were talking about this earlier where it's like, support women, we support women. And then you're like jealous of one of them. And you're like, yeah, I actually don't think it's that cool that you have 3 businesses. Like, so I think that it's just showing how complicated it is to support, that it's not just this big pink suit that we're all like, yay, I think there's a lot of complexity there. And I think that's what the movie explores, and Emma explores with her writing and everything, and the characters.
So you just study and don't eat and go out with your beautiful friends, is that it? Is that your life?
Yeah, yes, that's my life.
Wow, lucky you.